We have some new approval rating numbers from Congress, so let's go ahead and laugh and cry together. They're actually not doing too bad right now, guys. This isn't anywhere near a historical low for modern times. 20% approval rating. Wow. Solid. 20%? All right, you can see there. You can see the fluctuation, but it was at 28% fairly recently, so they've dropped off from recently, but you go back not to, 2015, 2014, look at that, in 2013, they bottomed out at 9%. So their approval rating apparently oscillates between 9% and 28%, at least since December of 2013. You have to go all the way back to 2009 for them to get a high of 39%. So I don't know the last time Congress has been over 50%. But that right there, ladies and gentlemen, is a broken system. So one of the main points of me covering this story and giving you these numbers is that if you had a media that was working, wouldn't they be sounding the alarms over this? Wouldn't you hear sirens? The highest we've had since 2009 is 39% approval rating. 28% is still a high compared to all the other numbers. And then you had between 9% and 20% most of the time. I mean, that's in almost a 10-year span. We're talking about what? Maybe an average of, if I had to guess here, 18%? If we saw those numbers about one of our enemy states, we would just laugh endlessly. We would mock them ruthlessly and say that's a banana republic and that's not a real democracy, it's a sham democracy. But when it's us, they don't even discuss it. They don't even discuss this on CNN or MSNBC or Fox News or the nightly news. So what is it? It shows you the whole system is broken. Obviously, the government is broken, but corporate media is totally broken. They hire dingbats and blockheads like Don Lemon and Wolf Blitzer. Never mind the Brian Kilmeades and Steve Ducey's, who are even worse. Or the Rachel Maddows, who are the better ones, who half the time more than half the time are ranting about Russia and leaving all other issues get less coverage than Russia on her show. So the whole fucking, this is a huge story, man. Shouldn't we be saying, okay, something's obviously broken here? Could you imagine you buy a product, and that product, in your mind, you're like, I'm giving it a 20% grade out of 100. You would immediately have to call them up, say, look, it's broken. It's broken. I got to return this. It's horrific. It's just not working. What do you want me to tell you? You got to fucking come through and do your job right. But with the government, it's like, no, it's cool. No, it's not cool. It's not cool. And how do we get to this point? We got to this point because of money in politics. We got to this point because from the late 1970s and onward, you had the Supreme Court in multiple decisions basically reaffirming the idea that money equals speech. So you basically have unlimited corporate contributions, billionaire contributions, to the point where you have the politicians representing their donors, and their donors are all moneyed interests. So then the concerns and the needs and the wants of the middle class and the poor and the 99% in America, not even on the table. They're not concerned about it. That's why there was that Princeton study which found that we function as an oligarchy. That's the only thing that can explain these numbers. And it's not I hate it when people try to flip nah, Americans are just stupid. That's why. Okay, what? Even if Americans don't know, and it's actually true, that they're not very good on historical facts, so you could say they're not as educated as they need to be, that doesn't translate into, masochism in politics. They still have the common sense. When you look at the opinion polls on what they want in terms of policy, they're actually pretty reasonable. They say we want universal health care, we want to raise the minimum wage, we want to end the wars. Those things are all intelligent priorities because they're not masochists. They're not hey, let's fuck ourselves and fuck the country over. So when you just turn around and blame them, it's that they're always given the choice of two evils, and you got to pick the lesser of two evils, and then you come back and do a poll a month later and ask people, hey, what do you think of Congress that you just elected? They're like, I hate them. So, I mean, that's just gross. 20% approval rating. Nobody talks about it. Nobody's talking about it. Yeah, 80% of you are not happy with what Congress is doing, but that's cool. No, it's not cool. And let me show you the next chart here, because this shows you Republican approval versus Democratic approval. So look at the title. I think that title is actually misleading. Republican approval of Congress drops nearly half since February 2017. So they were 50% liked, closer to when the election was, and then they drop off to 28% now. But to me, the bigger story is look at the Democratic number. 10% approval of the Democrats in Congress. That's the saddest thing I've ever seen in my life, man. That's so sad. But why is that the case? It's the case because they're corrupt. And in the case of the Democratic Party right now, the corporate Democrats are still running the show, and they have no message. What's the message? What's the message? Come on, guys, you tell me. The message is nothing. Stronger together. Break down the barriers. We're for good things and against bad things. America's already great. Equality, yay. Justice, yay. You're just that you're not saying anything. It's just vague, and it's I don't like Trump. Okay, but what are you for? I'm against Trump. And then I'm guarantee you, once you have the Justice Democrat wave take over, and we clean house of the corporate Democrats, the Democrats will be incredibly popular. But as of right now, they're way less popular than the broken, disgusting, corrupted Republican Party. Because guess what? Trump's populist rhetoric actually tapped into a nerve with the Republican base and with the country, and made it so that their approval rating is a little higher. So when you can get such a broken, disgusting, corrupt party like the Republicans to appear more populist than you, the Democrats, what does that say about the Democrats? It says they're hopelessly lost. So they need Justice Democrats to take over to show them the way. And by the way, if you had a Justice Democrats wave, the approval rating in Congress, if you had a majority Justice Democrats in Congress, the approval rating would not be 20%. When you have people pushing for, and people say, well, Kyle, how do you know that? Look at the fucking polls. A majority of people want Medicare for all. A majority of people want to raise taxes on the rich. A majority of people want free college. A majority of people want to raise the minimum wage. A majority of people want to get out of the wars. Nobody's really actively making that argument and pushing those policies, to any serious degree. Well, if you have a whole bunch of Democrats doing that, guess what? People will like them. When you push for things people want, they tend to like you. When you're corporate sellouts, they don't like you. So that's why we have a disgusting, rotten system, and we have to fix it.